The long-troubled Oklahoma County Jail, which is set to be torn down and replaced by 2026, is now under new leadership. Major Brandy Garner is now in charge of fixing what's wrong. And this week, reporter Steve Shaw sat down with Garner to learn more about how she intends to do that.
I started making changes when I got here because I saw things that needed to be changed.
Major Brandy Garner is now in control of the much maligned Oklahoma County Jail, a place she visited for the first time 2 decades ago.
I never figured that I would be here because the facility, it had standing water everywhere, it smelled horrible. It was just a completely different facility than it is today.
The Oklahoma County Jail has been known as the deadliest county jail in America. Federal investigations go back 14 years. Between 2016 and 2020, there were 43 jail deaths, 16 additional deaths in 21 and 22, and another death just last month. Garner came here a year ago after 8 years at the Cleveland County Jail, where she climbed the ranks from detention officer all the way to major. She takes over for former administrator Greg Williams, who resigned last month after 3 years on the job. One of the first things Major Garner did when she came to the Oklahoma County Jail early last year was completely revamp the inmate intake procedure.
One of the things that I did is I moved medical screening from one of the later steps in the process to one of the first steps. So now a person comes in with their arresting officer, they get patted down, and they go straight to medical, and they go through a comprehensive medical screening.
Garner says getting inmates booked in the old way could take hours, even days. Over the past year, the jail also used hundreds of thousands of dollars in federal pandemic money. They're still waiting on the county to reimburse them to renovate the forlorn 13-floor facility that's been wrought with issues ever since it opened more than 3 decades ago. Last summer, voters approved a $260 million bond to build a new jail and mental health facility that will clearly be much more efficient. But the earliest it will be open will be late 2026.
How do you keep drugs out of this place?
It's challenging. It is challenging. Because we don't have staff to continually post at the entrances, we do random proactive pat downs of all staff that are entering, including all of our vendors, visitors.
Garner says there were 2 other major issues that needed to be addressed. First, increasing the amount of time inmates get outside of their cells.
That was a huge undertaking because it required a cultural shift and a mindset shift of our staff. Before I got here, and for years, it was my understanding that everybody was locked down until, except for about 1 hour a day and only for just a few days a week. And I know that to not be right? I know that that's detrimental to people's mental health and they need that social interaction. And so I mandated that we get them out for as long as we can, at least 4 days a week.
Garner says she just terminated several jail employees over the holidays, even though the jail is woefully understaffed. But she says there are 45 new applicants in waiting who want to join her team. Employees she hopes she'll be able to pay more than the current rate.
So far, she has been a breath of fresh air. I mean, literally.
Mark Falk is a member of a grassroots group that took aim at the deplorable conditions at the jail many moons ago.
What I do understand is the jail trust has to get behind her and they have to give her what she needs to do the job properly. This, to me, they handed her a jail that was practically on fire. It was an emergency situation in that jail.
Tim Tardy Bono is executive director of the Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Advisory Council. They're the group that's worked to stave off a federal takeover of the jail by forming a jail trust.
The public needs to recognize if you want a challenging but rewarding job, and you have some social work, behavioral health background, even some of that mixed with law enforcement. Those are the kinds of folks that need to take this opportunity to help change that culture in this facility, which will lead us into the culture of the new facility.
Steve Shaw, the Oklahoma News Report.